Hey y'all, Bearder Bros Golf Show, back at it again. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Another week, a little bit slow on the news side of things, but enough to talk about. And like I
Yeah,
said, we promise to be here every single week for you guys, talking golf and the latest and greatest. So we're gonna do that. I think it's appropriate to just hop out with the main kind of story for the week, or at least it got the most hits, is Rory McIlroy. Down in Louisiana and New Orleans. Sorry, got a little double talk going on. Um, him and Shane Lowry taking the um what do you call it? Zurich. I
yeah,
don't know what the official name the Zurich Championship, the team play event. Rory's first time playing this event in his career, which is kind of crazy. But teamed up with his lifetime golfing buddy Shane, and they took it in a one hole playoff. Um, not some no names, but Chad Ramey, and I forget the other guy's name already. So
yeah.
um, they weren't able to sink the putt to win it. So what do you think about Rory getting his little groove on in the team play for the first time in his career, man?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a lot of pressure on his putting. I mean, it was a I mean, it was really just them trying to have fun. So it was all really like everything that Rory wants, essentially. Like, it's not pressure. The only thing that was pressure was them being the favorites, only because of their world ranking. They were just the most
Yeah.
highly ranked average golfers in there. Now, if it was a team like JT and Spieth in there, they probably wouldn't be the odds-on favorite. Or if it was, Scotty and like a Wyndham Clark or Scotty and whoever, to be honest. But, I think it would be different. But since they're both highly ranked, and then of course, both major winners and stuff like that. I just think that that put a lot of pressure on them to do it. Like I was telling you, pre-show. Really, it's kind of just a matter of which one is easier. The ones where you're not the favorite to win it, or the ones where you are the favorite to win it, just because you have to go out and play your best golf anyways, and it kind of just makes you get in that mode. So good on them. They did make a few clutch putts, and then of course, I mean, it was hardly a drive that I saw Rory miss when I had a chance to watch. So, all in all, it was a good
No, I
time.
think no, I think his probably worst drive was actually the playoff hole.
Yeah,
Kind of got underneath it, not a pop up, but not his usual kind of high majestic drive. I think it was actually kind of a low liner. Lost about 60 yards off his drive in regulation, but they
yeah,
were able to get it done with the par. At the end of the day, in that situation, you're just playing, directly against your opponent. The guys that they had gone against had not played, struck a shot for 3 hours prior to that. Had to
right.
jump out on the range, get back warm and whatnot. So, like you said, you gotta. It's like you have to be loose enough to relax and play your best golf because you don't want to be tight, but you also don't want to be too loose where you're just like our talent's gonna overwhelm the field.
Facts.
The interesting thing that I like about the tournament is that it actually does get some decent names. You'll see Colin Morikawa, Patrick
Yeah,
Cantlay, just guys that go play this tournament. It's the one team event on the PGA Tour all year, so that's cool. I think I like the switch up for 1 week, and that's it.
yeah.
And we'll get to
I
the
like the
live. We'll
format
get to
too.
the live. Yeah, we'll get to the live stuff later. And I was thinking about it in my head, playing the four ball versus the alternate shot, and I almost said in my head like, oh, it'd be nice if they did four ball final day, like flip flop. But I like the pressure that it puts on everybody's game. It's always interesting to see people match up based on the ball that they play or
Right.
personal relationships. So like Rory and Shane were rocking the Shrixon ball this week when they were playing the alternate shot, which is interesting, right? Because you're just like, who's more adaptable to that kind of stuff? Who absolutely has to have their ball in play? What do you think about that? One, the format itself, and then kind of the ball switch up.
Yeah, I actually, it's. I mean, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, I hate to be repetitive, but I mean, it's really just a matter of like who ball is going to play best for both styles. So like them playing the Srixon, which is really a spinny ball, five-piece ball, regardless of which one that you have. I think that was interesting for Rory to be able to play that ball and not, you know, mess it up because he plays the TP5X, I'm pretty sure, which is the low
Hmm.
spin edition of the TaylorMade ball. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I'm actually surprised Xander and Kentley weren't more favored to win than Rory and them.
They
But
they weren't far behind on the odds. It was 1 and 2.
figured,
So
yeah,
I mean, they were heavy favorites. Rory and Shane. They were in the negative category, like just in the negative, which means
yeah,
pretty much you get like no money for betting them. Everybody else was in the plus category, but just enough with Cantlay and Shoffley.
yeah. Colin Morikawa, Kurt Kitsuyama just didn't have it. I felt like they could have got hot. That would have been a fun pairing to watch win. But the format was fun to me. You get it going early, so you start with that first piece, and that's the one where you get to go low as you want. Then you withhold and you withstand the alternate shot. Then you go back and you try to get back low and make it a moving day. So they did, best ball again or four ball again, and then they did a modified best ball or something like that on Sunday. I think it was both one player teed off and then they played best ball from there. Or maybe that was last year. I don't know.
I think that was last year. This was just straight alternate shot this year.
Okay. Okay. Well, for somebody to
Yeah.
shoot 63 on a day like today, that was insanity. That makes it even
Yeah.
more, respectful. So, dang.
I really enjoyed watching it this year, and typically in the past I haven't been a big fan of the event, but of course
Yeah,
you put some names in there that and see what they can do. I mean, this format also lends to some people that necessarily don't always play well on their own. That are tour players on their own or in their own right. But when you're matched up with a teammate that can kind of help support you, it's fun. It's a little bit lighter. They're talking about Keith Mitchell and Joel Damon just out there trying to have some fun and ended up,
true.
with a pretty decent showing, right? And Joel Damon has not played well overall, and hopefully this is able to kind of kickstart his season.
Yeah,
But I like that format again. One time per year. I don't need it really more than that, but it's good to switch it up and change the format up. Give us something different to look at on a pretty playable and flat course. But it's Pete Dye, so the greens are pretty tricked up. There's some funny, angled tee boxes, give you some options off the tee box where you can go to the
tree in
short
the middle of a
fairway.
fairway, goofies.
Exactly. I know. I want to. I'm telling you. I've told you. I tried to get you down to use that TPC. Little hat. It just seems like it would be fun and playable,
Definitely.
but also, you get the benefit of TPC conditions and a Pete Dye design. So
We'll have to make it
it's
happen.
definitely one that, yeah, definitely one you'd want to put on your list. Another kind of mention of Rory, unless you have anything else to say about kind of the tournament this weekend.
No, we can keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Yeah.
Rory, well, last week the rumors were, Rory to live again, 850 million. He quickly knocked that down, right? Just said, I'm PGA Tour for life. That's what I do. I'm not going anywhere. Um, but the rumors keep coming out. There's really been no real validation for those rumors. But
Right.
this week we then double back and it comes up that he is possibly going to rejoin the PGA Tour Policy Board again. He was asked about it straight away in the pre-tournament interviews with him and Shane. So I'm going to pull that up. There's a lot of redundancies that he says in the interview. So I'm just going to play this here real quick. It's about a minute and 40 seconds.
Confirm whether or not you potential return to the policy board?
Not as of yet, no.
Are we able to speak in hypotheticals?
Maybe.
I guess when you go back to a year ago or 8 months ago when you decided to step away, you talked about wanting to focus more on inside the ropes and things like that. I guess what has changed in the last 8 months and kind of how do you look back now on that decision to walk away and why, it might be interesting now?
I think I can be helpful. I don't think there's been much progress made in the last 8 months, and I was hopeful that there would be. And I think I could be helpful to the process, but only only if people want me involved, I guess. So, when Webb, and I talked, and he talked about potentially, coming off the board, I said, look, if it was something that other people wanted, I would gladly take that seat, and that was the conversation that we had. But yeah, I think that's the whole reason. I feel like I can be helpful. I feel like I care a lot, and I have some pretty good experience and good connections within the game and sort of around the wider sort of ecosystem and everything that's going on. So, but at the end of the day, it's not quite up to me to just come back on the board. There's a process that has to be followed, and but I'm willing to do it if that's what people want.
So I think the interesting part for me is, going back to where he was when he jumped off the policy board, and just his play was struggling. We had seen him have a really rough Masters, and just felt like there was a lot on his plate. And, I guess he had faith that the guys that were jumping in to take over were actually going to make some progress. And it makes it sound like that over the last 8 months, since he's not been a part of it, not much progress has been made on the back end. And I think I don't know, that's just kind of trash to me, especially with, we've talked about in the past couple of weeks where LIV guys coming out the Masters have said that they'd be willing to make some concessions going back to 4 rounds. What do you think, man? What do you think about his statement there?
Great statement. I mean, like I said, I feel like Rory has really matured. I feel like Rory has really as he said, really been thoughtful about things and really thought things through to where he kind of understands his angle and where he needs to go with that. So I think it was really refreshing to hear him say that. And I think he probably had a little emptiness. He probably just didn't at that time know how to balance everything. So it probably felt kind of overwhelming to where it was like, dang, am I doing too much with the board? Am I not having enough time with the fam? Am I not having enough time with the practice? So maybe he's got him a regiment down to where he's kind of got everything more scheduled and more processed to where he knows how much time he can spend with the board, how much time he can spend on practice, and still have enough time to, alleviate all that stress and still go be a family man and be a good dad. So I think he's got that figured out. And I think it's very comical what he said and how politely he said it, because when you got guys like Patrick Cantlay that have clearly made a step forward in leadership and in play, and they're kind of one of the lead guys in the PGA now, for him to essentially really just turn into a nice guy, him and Webb and a lot of the board, and they're really just, they might not be nice guys. They might just be standing on business of what they think should be going forth, instead of being able to, kind of just be more gentlemanly, and then, kind of see what other angles can be had, or whatever Liv was talking about. Because that's the thing. The parties need to meet up regardless. We can't just be doing hearsay. We can't just be doing interviews before events. Like, we're not going to get anywhere there. And I'm not saying head PGA Tim guy needs to come out and make a statement, but more things need to come to the surface about how that's going to go. We had all that funny talk. Well, and also the way that you were talking about him being PGA for life. Also, coincidentally, the equity comes out. We're meeting right before this event to discuss who's getting what and how it's going to work, and the yearly plan and how this payout is going to work. Just real timely that came out. So again, just funny how
they touched on it. They touched on it in this interview, but it was pretty long, so it was not worth bogging us down. So I'll mention a couple things from the remainder of it. So after this, I cut it. They talked about reunification, which Rory has been on that kind of thought process for a little while now. That somehow reunification happens. LIV guys have also kind of got on board with what Rory was talking about. Is that the truth is, fans, everyday kind of not diehards like us who are going to watch regardless, they're starting to just like not feel it. All the talk being about money and just it's just a lot, right? You're talking about
Right.
guys getting $100 million for being average golfers, 400+ million for guys like John Rahm, mentions of 800 million for Rory. And again, if you're any kind of just basic mind, you know that that money is not real. There's no way
Right.
you can get any kind of return on paying Rory $850 million at this stage of his career. Is he in his mid 30s? Yes, but he'd have to play golf for another 30 years and at a super high level for that to ever even reach any kind of fruition of payoff. So
Right.
this, I think he realizes like, hey, we got to do something before this gets really bad. And I think there's also another clip that's making the rounds where he's talking about there's never enough money. And I think he's being sarcastic, that just for some guys, enough is never enough. Um,
Oh, there's
so
definitely
I
very,
don't know.
very thirsty, evil people like that, and I think he
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
was alluding to that.
Let's address a couple of comments here. So Rob Jung, you guys think TGL is going to launch it all, and do you think it will be successful? Um, I think it will launch. I think maybe, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but maybe they, lost the little venue that they were going to do it in hopes that a merger was going to happen. This was all going down around the talks of PJ Tour getting more money, influx and kind of talks somewhat heating up in the Bahamas. But I think it's going to happen in some shape,
Yeah.
form, or fashion. Do I think it's going to be successful? No. I get it. Like people are fiending for what's next and kind of some different format of golf. But I don't know. To me, golf is really hard still, and regular ass golf is totally fine for me. I can't split my attention anymore. And I know this would be a kind of like an early in the week deal. But I don't think it's going to be successful. It will get off the ground. There's just been too much talk about it. Tiger's team was announced this week. What do you think, man?
First of all, great question, Rob. Appreciate you joining. Appreciate you hanging out with us. But yeah, I too think it'll launch, and I am questioning what is going to be the main attraction besides this. Now, I know they probably have some type of technology to where these guys were going to be able to see the swing from the player, right, in him hitting it in the simulator. But if we're not zooming into the course to where we're seeing what the ball is doing or the trace or whatever, it's just going to be pretty obsolete. It's going to be pretty stupid. It's just going to be honestly like a YouTube clip of these guys, what Rory on the range, Tiger on the range, and them just hitting shots. Yeah, they're going through a course, but I mean, when you're in simulator golf for these guys, this is probably a piece of cake. So we're just going to be watching these guys, probably team up and shoot 50s and 52s and stuff like that. I don't really think that's
Yeah.
going to be necessarily exciting, especially because what is going to happen when they putt? That's always something that I've always wondered. If it's
Well,
in a certain speed,
simulator putting is kind of lame. Like if you see
that's what I'm
people, I think up
saying.
in the Northeast, like they have like that 5 iron golf, and they're putting on mats, and it's just you kind of just, it's not
Right.
real.
You make a putting stroke, yeah, but how do you gauge pace? Are you really going to be able to read the break of the green? Like what's going to happen there? I mean, seriously, and then like it's you hit it to 5 feet, so it's an automatic one putt. You hit it to 15 feet, so it's an automatic two putt. Like, are we just going
Yeah.
to simulate that and then just go to the next tee shot? Like, I
I
don't,
I
that to me
I think
is
the
pretty.
entertainment. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think the entertainment aspect somehow has to be played up, and they're gonna have to be
The
really
side
social,
quests.
talking.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
what are these
having some.
personalities going to be?
Right. It'd be interesting if you kind of tried to transform some version of the Top Golf experience,
Right,
food, drinks, jokes, uncensored commentary, but I also feel
right,
like that could also get too loose. And I don't know.
Yeah, people
It's
talk shit in different ways, and everybody isn't accepting of certain ways that you're gonna be talking. 100%, 100%.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting when it comes to light. We just haven't seen, much in terms of the concept and how it's going to end up looking on screen and how it's going to be presented as an entertainment product. And I'm sure they're doing a ton of work, but um, yeah, I really think it's an opportunity for Tiger and Rory to get their bag. Which that leads into Bobby's comment here. He said Rory better take that bag. So here's the deal, man. I get people thinking like everybody wants more money. Like once you get a crap ton of it, but I think for people like Rory, I fully believe this. He's got enough business ventures going on and has been savvy enough over the years, which is why he was on the policy board in the first place. He's got a mind for business and for making money.
Wholeheartedly.
He's had massive contracts with Nike, other, I think that little Jupe, whatever, it was like a fitness tracker. And he's one of these guys where I don't think you can necessarily afford to pay him enough upfront. So a lot of these deals have come with equity. I
Yeah.
wholeheartedly believe Rory is on the other side of, he's closer to a billion than he is, like, let's say 500 million in terms of net worth. I don't think Rory legitimately is, it's not going to make a difference to him how much money he makes or how much money Liv can give him, because it doesn't really do anything for what he has made in his career. I mean, the fact that a few years ago you think about somebody like a Tiger who had to give away half half and is still a billionaire. These
Right.
guys have set themselves up from a business standpoint where the Live money doesn't really move the needle for
Move
them,
them.
right? They
Yeah,
can
it doesn't
they
move them.
can stay they can stand on their principles because they're okay.
Yeah,
But
John Rahm is in his mid 20s. He's still kind of really trying to build. And then, he's been with Travis Matthew and Callaway for the longest. What else has he done? What other ventures does he have? We've seen Rory in the light. We've seen other things that Rory is doing and not doing. But again, just like you said, the savviness of him is that, he's already made hella bread. He's got a lifetime contract with Nike if he wants it. He's still in his 30s. He's okay. I mean, he's probably signed at least 200 million or $100 million deals with Nike over 10-year spans or something like. And he's been in the light since 19 or so. So, he's probably still got 4 or 5 years on this next Nike deal before he reassesses what he wants to do. I don't think, and I don't want to put it past anybody, but I think Rory is indeed one of those guys that's just a little bit too prideful to just sit here and be like, I'll take the money. No, I don't care about anything else. I'll just take the money. Like,
yeah,
he definitely is very, like we said, he's thoughtful enough to understand the repercussions of what he's doing, he's thought out what move is going to work best for him, what move and what repercussions is going to happen from certain missteps and stuff like that. So, Bobby, whether we want him to be the richest man out there, I don't think he takes that. But
no, I
I
don't. I don't think
definitely think
he.
he'll take a bag somewhere else.
I think he doesn't risk long term money. I think he
Right.
sees his legacy and his ability to earn into his 80s like Jack Nicklaus and
True.
Arnold Palmer. Arnold Palmer's making a lot of money in his, 6 feet under the ground right now.
Posthumously.
His
Absolutely.
his companies and concepts are still making money long beyond his years. So I think Rory's thinking
Puma,
more so in terms of that.
definitely. Puma every year still drops an Arnold Palmer collection. Whether we see it or not, well, me as a merchandiser, I see it. And we put some of it in the shop
Yeah.
because it's definitely always something really cool. Like this year, they had the Arnold Palmer drink, and then they had his Arnold Palmer signature umbrella coming out of it. Again, these are the little intricacies that Arnold Palmer patented, and it's his brand,
Yeah.
and that's the money he makes off of all these royalties. And then he still has the Arnold Palmer Foundation. He does everything, his foundation works with the hospital, with cancer foundations and stuff like that, and getting these kids in and out. So as far as like money goes with Arnold Palmer, he is, still the most influential golfer that there might ever be as far as
Yeah,
media
and some.
and things like that.
Yeah, 100%. And I didn't even include his course design, which is okay. I mean, I think with any course designer, you're going to have
Right.
some hits or misses. Like I've played some Jack Nicklaus courses, I've played some Arnold Palmer courses. Palmer's are a little more friendly, a lot more playable. So anyway, I think
I'm still mad
Rory
about
sees
that
the
Jack Nicklaus course we played in Myrtle Beach, by the way. I'm still mad. That
talking
was
about
a waste of money.
Long Bay.
Yeah, it was a waste. That course
It
was
wasn't
a
that
beast.
bad.
It was a beast for no reason. Like, it did not have
Well,
to be that hard.
we were a year into the game, so we if we played it
It
today, we'd
doesn't
probably look
matter,
a little bit
Rod.
different.
Doesn't
Whatever.
matter.
Let's move over to Live Golf. So just to frame it up initially, they played in Adelaide in Australia this week. This has been their biggest stop since the tour's inception a few years ago. Those folks have been craving big time golf. They have the whole Norman, connection, and they have their
Yeah.
Australian team, the Rippers. So first time the teams have gone into a playoff in the team format. Have no idea how that works. Didn't bother to look it up. Not really important to me. But the crowds were the biggest that they've had, and I think the posted attendance for the event was 94,000. And then Greg Norman comes out, does his victory lap per usual, says that, this proves the concept. Unfortunately for him, the reality is he's a little bit too close to the situation. 1 out of 14 weeks where you blow it out of the water is not a success, right? That
It's not
doesn't
successful.
it doesn't
It
mean
doesn't
you're going to make
translate.
money. It just doesn't, right? And so they have, I think the biggest story really for me that came out of this week is, they've been fostering the environment of party time, the music on the holes, and really the in-person experience versus
Yeah.
the TV product, because the way the music comes across on TV is actually pretty bad. And the events that I've watched, I don't like it. It's very distracting. It kind of overrides the announcers. It's just bad on
It's in a
TV.
way.
In person, yeah, in person could be very different. But I've said this a couple of years ago. I have a video way back in my catalog about the waste management, and my even feeling that it had gotten out of control when bottles were flying at I think it was Sam Ryder, and came really close to hitting him and other players. But this week it happened. So I'm going to pull up this video with Lucas Herbert on their
Round
party
of
hole.
30, Matt Jones attempting to save par. This is all significant for Ripper GC. Yeah, get it.
Just to note,
Lucas
he's
Herbert.
in 30th
And it's
place.
raining amber nectar.
So the putt really is more for the team aspect of this.
I wouldn't be trying to get
Excellent
rained
round
on, by the
for
way.
Lucas
Pause.
Herbert,
Hella
7
pause.
under par,
Super pause.
65.
So as you can see, bottles are flying in. His caddy's putting the flag in. Whole bottle of water smacks him in
No,
the
we're
back of the
good,
head.
bro. Yeah, we're good, bro.
That's just
Under par,
again, whole bottle. You can see when it hits how hard it hits. It's a full
33.
bottle of water. So to me, again, that's not, we talk about growing the game of golf. I've been seeing a lot of posts about this, growing the game of golf in different ways, right? Whether that's professionally, on the municipal level with kids, kind of getting them into golf early.
Yeah.
Whoever is the ambassador for growing the game of golf, I don't like the way this is going. If this is what golf needs to look like to get people to participate in the future, where things are getting thrown on the course at a professional event, I'm out, bro. I don't think
I
this
do
is
not
it.
need
What
to
do you think
attend
about
that.
that?
I mean, it's just goofy all around. Whether you be drunk or not, that's not an excuse for you to just feel like you can just throw a 20-ounce water ball at somebody and like with pace. Like, bro, this isn't dodgeball, bro. We're trying to make money out here. It, I mean, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words, to be honest, bro.
I
I don't
know
know.
it's just so stupid. That's the
That's
thing,
beyond
man.
stupid.
Stupid is still stupid at the end of the day. And you
Right.
can have fun. Like, tell me how someone can articulate how that adds to the fun of an event. I'd be interested in hearing any valid argument. But
Yeah.
injuring another human being who's done nothing but their job, that's clown behavior.
Like again, y'all want to have a successful tour and a successful venue and event. Shit like that takes away from it. Because a lot of times, if I was watching the coverage, I wouldn't even be thinking about the putt. I'd be like, bro, somebody just got decked on the putting green from the stands. I would have made that more of a story than anything because that's what this is. It just seems more like a gimmick. Again, now, them having a whole Australian team and this being the biggest event definitely translate. Clearly, they need to be in more of these venues where their players are. If y'all are trying to make this a world tour, we need an event in Spain. They have a whole Spanish team. We need an event.
Which they
Well,
do.
we did. Okay, all right, perfect. And then do they have an event in the UK as well? Since they have
They do.
Poulter and okay, so
They
then
do.
they don't have any excuses then. If this is a world tour that they think is going to go where the players and the fans are, and it's still not really turning over any profit yet, I think you have your answer. Because if this is your biggest event, I'm just saying,
I think the
Spain's got a lot of people, UK's got a
I
lot of
think the
people.
yeah, the problem is that the events that they think, so we saw early on in the season stateside, Las Vegas was not that great in terms of attendance. It was pretty poorly attended. The Miami event in Doral a couple of weeks ago before the Masters was also pretty lightly attended. Upcoming schedule for them, their next one is in Singapore at the beginning of May. They jump to Houston in June. Nashville, which again, these are courses that we don't really. I mean, we know Golf Club of Houston. We both played there.
Yeah.
We know Golf Club of Houston as a previous PGA Tour stop. Singapore, Sentosa Golf Club, never heard of it, right? First time us seeing it. Nashville, The Grove, never heard of this particular course. Then they jump to Spain. That's in Real Club Valderrama, one that apparently John Rahm grew up playing. So we'll see what the crowds look like there, right? As he takes
Yeah.
himself
Valderrama
home, plays
is
on.
a nice track.
Yeah,
They
and
played it in
then
previous years.
yeah, and then UK is there going to be JCB Golf and Country Club.
No
Never
clue.
heard of it, right? And then they finished the regular season at the Greenbrier in August. So again, these stops are not panning out the way, and I don't know what they could do in terms of market. I know what they could do. They could do some market research, right? Clearly, Australia has been vetted. It's a country that has a lot of good golf. The
Yeah.
courses, when we see them, in the off season for us, they look great. They photograph and video very well. I can see that it's a country starved for golf. When they went to what was it, Japan earlier in the year,
Hmm.
it was okay. I mean, the crowds were kind of there, but the weather wasn't great. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I would not call one event a success. I think Greg Norman is way too close. He can't see the forest for the trees right now to determine. Like, are y'all looking at a spreadsheet? That's how we know this is all funny money. Is
Yeah.
that it's not real. You can't go look at a profit and loss statement and say, "Hey, y'all, we've made gains here. Here's where we're making progress." It's really just been stagnant. The
Yeah.
chats, you jump on YouTube. I was, because of the timing, I was watching on YouTube on Thursday night for me, Friday morning, and chat was getting pretty negative. In the past, they've been modulating that pretty well. It was pretty brutal in the chat this time around.
Yeah.
So
Hard to
even
filter
though it
all
was
that out.
successful, yeah, even on the ground, if it was successful, they're losing kind of the battle of public opinion. And yes, they have the ones that embrace it and love it, but overall, no one's flocking to the product right now. So anyhow, we shall keep it moving. Before we jump to the Fitzpatrick stuff, let's just do a quick mention for the JM Eagle LA Championship. Hannah Green called it earlier in the year. Could she be approaching stardom? Super talented young golfer. Um, Wins it by 3 strokes. This is her back-to-back times winning this particular championship. Second win this year. What do you think about young Hannah Green, man? Is she ready to kind of ascend? We know Nellie's kind of killing it, and she pulled out earlier in the week, just citing being exhausted. Um, what tier do we put Hannah Green in right now?
Um, Probably, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say a notch below, probably 2 notches below at this point. I mean, if she performs again in 2 weeks when they go to the Cognizant Founders in Jersey or whatever, I could see it being, something worth talking about. I mean, she hit the ball so damn close, she didn't really need to worry about if she was gonna make a putt or not. I felt like half the time
Yeah,
it was the shots I saw. I mean, she chipped it in from like a pretty scrabby lie on a par three. I mean, feet like she was pretty much on her toes. The heels were hanging off in the bunker and stuff like that. Hold it like it was nothing. I mean, I just think that the women's game is a game of streaks. When they're hot, they're hot. Like, I mean, we saw that with Lilia Vu. I think Nelly is one of the few that has withstood that and has just been good for a long time, as well as Lydia
yeah,
Ko. And I think that's what has, of course, promoted them to stardom. That is the why we know their names more so than others. But Hannah Green could easily be that if she keeps this up, if she keeps working, if her putter becomes more consistent. So I think all in all, you going back to back at an event, the same event in LA of all places, definitely something that could create stardom. So hopefully,
yeah.
like I said, 2 weeks from now, Mother's Day weekend or
We'll get to
whatever,
see.
Cognizant, we'll see. Founders Cup, we'll see.
Do you think that Nelly is kind of on her own level right now with no one else on that
Yes.
plateau, or do you think there's anyone? No, just Nelly.
I, yeah. I mean, Lydia would be the closest right now. Lydia is absolutely the closest person I would see to her.
Yeah, I think Nelly is so consistent that even Lydia, I think Lydia's bad game is still very good, but
Right.
Nelly has just hit that next level where if she turns it up or if she's really got some things going, like
Yeah.
Nelly's good is
Really
like
good.
everybody else is great. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I agree. I do tend to agree with your Hannah assessment. I think that she's also got another level, right? That when she can separate from her peers, she's
Right.
got that extra distance in the bag that is the
Distance is
separator,
very
right?
important. Agreed.
So
Agreed. Agreed.
I think that's the next separator. And can she be consistent? Can
Yeah.
she keep this level of play going and then also compete with the best of the game, right? Can she
Yeah.
do it when all the names are there? So we'll see at their next major here soon.
Question
So
though, real
just want to
quick,
give
Ryan.
her, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, names like to me, names like remember Celine Boutier just came off a hot streak too, literally earlier this year. End of
Yeah.
last year, Lynn Grant. Really hot players, not even being mentioned right now. Like this is what I'm saying. But do you think they could grow to be not necessarily the same level as Nelly, but do you think they could be in that same tier? Do you think they could be or very close to it? Because to me, I think their level is Lydia Ko at their peak. To me, I don't think their peak is Nelly's peak. What do you say
Mm.
to that?
I think physically, Nelly's got tools that naturally, like, there's not many 6 foot LPGA players out there, right? So
Right.
I think that gives her some physical advantages that other ladies cannot rely on. I do think that's probably a good marker that if Nelly stays focused, consistent, not married and having children, Nelly's run could be incredibly long and incredibly successful.
Yeah.
Do I think I don't think Hannah Green's that tall or as tall as Nelly, but physically I think she's got the speed and muscle to
Yeah.
maybe possibly match up with Nelly. I think that's really the next best thing is seeing someone that can compete with Nelly physically. But in terms of just overall togetherness, I do think Lydia Ko is the level for everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So what we saw from Celine Boutier last year, as you mentioned, was actually really solid golf. I mean,
Really
she
good
won
golf.
what, two majors? A really good golf. I mean, solid, hitting it close, making putts, getting up and down, not just playing perfect golf, but really solid all around good golf. But again, there's not that. Celine Boutier's straight. She's not incredibly long. She's sufficiently long, but not incredibly long. And so I
Yeah.
think that's the thing that separates Nelly from those other groups. But I do think that, like, even sometimes Lydia Ko can go get a little extra 10, 15, 20 yards out of the bag, but that's not her normal fairway finder playing solid golf. And I don't think
Right.
there's a lot of
Agreed.
women that have that. But I do think that if a lot of these ladies continue, I hope that we can get away from the streakiness, because I think that creates it makes it hard to market these ladies as a whole, right? So they get
Yeah.
hot and then they fall off completely. That's the part that's tough and keeps them from sustaining. And yeah, that's my big beef with them right now, is that we can't get any consistency. But if we can start seeing a couple ladies going back and forth in final rounds together, Marcus really struggling over here with the
I was trying to
camera.
charge my phone and the charger's not working.
Jesus.
Anyways,
Jesus.
I'm back.
So, all right. So next level is going to be, yeah, Lydia Ko, and then see if anybody else can compete with Nelly on a consistent basis.
Agreed.
Uh, yep. So let's go into the Alice Fitzpatrick bag. So Homeboy got a lot of run on the full swing from this year. I was hoping that him and Matt would have competed a little more sufficiently in the Zurich this week, but they made the cut. Alex is starting to get some run over on the DP World Tour. Has made it through the Challenge Tour. So I just want to review his what's in the bag. Some small things. We hadn't been able to do one of these in a little bit because there hadn't been a lot of just brand new winners out there. Nelly
Right.
and Scotty were just
Scotty.
tearing it up, and we did their what's in the bag. So you don't just keep redoing it. So let's pull it up here. So Alex Fitzpatrick, mixed bag. So you see a lot of different clubs in the bag. Clearly not sponsored by one particular brand or not. So let's go through it. So driver, rocking the Ping G430, one of the most popular drivers out there right now. This year's version, the low spin version at 10.5. And it didn't look like he deviated from that 10.5. You're not seeing a lot of tour players rocking that high aloft in their driver. So I'm going to trust that that's the one. And he is definitely a Fujikara Ventus fan. So we'll see that throughout his bag until we get into the irons. Any comments on that driver there?
Yeah, 10-5 kind of shocks me, but might not have just the, prototypical upward swing with 4 degrees of up that he's hitting, and it's probably just zeroed out to where he needs a little bit of help. But yeah, other than that stock stuff, I mean, you can't go wrong with the G430 low spin. I mean,
No.
it's a winner in everybody's book, whether you're bad or good. So you might as well,
It's very
stay a leg up on that.
it's very forgiving. I finally, I had been demoing the club for almost a month. I finally
Yeah.
went in and decided I was going to make the final purchase on it. It's in the bag, the same
Look at
LST
you.
version that I finally did it. I played some of my best rounds with that driver in the bag, and yes, the irons were coming around, but it made
You got to
sense.
get off the
So,
tee.
yep. And I just kind of skipped over the 3-wood. I'll come back to that. But he's also rocking the 430 hybrid. Again, the Fujikara Ventus with the HB10 Tour X Flex in that one. Ping Woods, ridiculous. I've said it before. I'll say it over and over again. It doesn't matter if you go back to the 410 series before that. I'm rocking the 425 series in my 3-wood and hybrid. You have the
That's
410
amazing.
in the bag. These clubs are amazing. They're
Yeah.
hot. The hybrids are particularly hot. You're gonna get some yardage out of them, and they're incredibly straight. Um, just ridiculously good hybrids that they make, and 3-woods. So pretty unremarkable there. Standard stuff. Let me throw in this one comment here from Andy, our boy Andy Holt. After watching the Fitzbros episode on Full Swing, hard not to pull for Alex. Seemed like a very humble kid and wants to succeed on his own. Yeah, wants to kind of get it out of the mud on his own. He
Yeah.
is likable. He is
Yeah.
likable. And you can understand the struggle of kind of living in a
A shadow.
older brother's shadow.
He's got
So
to get out of
shout out to him.
that
Yeah,
spiteful
and
little
I
brother thing.
and I hated that last year during the Zurich, they were pulling so hard for him and Matt to win it so Alex could get his tour card. I'm actually kind of glad that that didn't work out
Right.
and he's been able to kind of go get his own accolades and status without the kind of assist from Big Bro. So I love that.
Absolutely.
So in his 3-wood, he's rocking the TaylorMade QI10 at 15 degrees. Again, pretty stock. We've been seeing people rock the lower lofted 3-woods, the mini driver, the burner, or just
Hmm.
set at 13 or 14. So like you said, I think he's probably a 0, degree, player at his attack angle. So he's gonna need some help to get it up in the air with the Ventus TR Black 7 Tourex shaft there. Pretty standard stuff. Again, no bag sponsor. He's just kind of rocking what works for him. So we jump back into the Ping, just a 2-iron. This Ping I crossover 2-iron Fujikara Ventus HB Black 9X shaft. I thought this was an interesting club. I have never seen this club before. What do you think, man?
Driving irons are really good. I mean, I'm just really trying to understand the bag at this point. Well, you go driver, 3-wood, hybrid, driving iron. Why do you have that many clubs that like really you're using off the tee? If you have a two
Yeah,
iron crossover, that's your high lofty club. That's your low stinger. I don't need a hybrid if I have a driving iron, especially if it's two because well, you know what? I'm thinking from my bag. My hybrid is a 19-degree hybrid. I feel like that's super low lofted. I could hit that as a 5-wood if I wanted. So if I'm really
yeah,
crunching out my 19-degree hybrid, um, it's gonna give me 240, 245, 250 if I really want to go at it. I don't need necessarily a driving iron and a hybrid if they're gonna be, very comparable in degrees and trajectory. Just really just
yeah.
trying to understand that.
I think the one thing
He's a
that kind
field
of
player though.
not to counter that, but there looks like there may be some adjustability in this particular club.
Yeah,
I don't know if it shows up well on the screen, but there's some notches here around the neck of this club. So maybe he has the ability to
change
move it
less.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean his 2-iron was set at 19 degrees. So I don't know. Maybe he plays this as a 3. Who knows?
I mean, his hybrid could be 21 or something like that. He could be using that as like a hard 4 iron or something like that. You never know. Again,
Yeah,
he's a field player. He talked about it in full swing. He's the complete opposite of number based as Matt Fitzpatrick is. He doesn't keep the
yeah,
Excel sheet. He says he plays with what feels good. His grip is wonky. Like, I mean, you could just tell. He just goes with what's cool and what looks good to him. So that's fine.
yeah,
I'm just trying to understand.
yeah. And I have the other. It looks like he's playing the the hybrid kind of at. He's playing it at 19. Let me see if I can quick switch. Just quick. Share my screen.
Well, if they're both 19, then I guess the driving iron is just really like the one he's using off the tee. The hybrid is the one where he feels like he can get that to get up and have spin to land softly, like on a 240 or 250 yard par three or something like that. I don't know. Or maybe he's trying to
Yeah,
use it
because
to go into greens.
who knows? It's interesting. It's just interesting that it almost feels like it's a redundant club in this bag. But you can
Right.
see here, he's got it set on the 19 for that hybrid. So who the hell knows? Who knows what he's doing there?
He
Um,
does.
he right. We're not going to argue with what he's got going on.
Sorry,
So
Alex. My bad, bro. My fault.
let's jump back. So he's playing the Titleist 4-through pitch and wedge, the T100s. Love the T100s. It's a beautiful club.
Very.
Um, Down by the ball, top line, amazing. With the Nippon NS Pro Modus 3 Tour X one or Tour 120X shaft. I like this shaft. I like the weighting. It'll be interesting when it comes to his wedges as well. So, any comments here on the irons and shaft choices?
We're talking about pro shafts and very common amongst the tour guys. Pro Modus, not one we see all the time, so very happy to see that. I mean, a
Yeah,
guy that
see some
truly
change
knows
up.
what works best for him. Yeah. I also
Bobby had a
am
comment.
very shocked
Go ahead.
shocked that he's not two T150s. You can put up the comment. I'm surprised he's not T150. It's a little bit stronger lofted. Help him out a little bit easier.
Yeah, yeah, you're right to kind of bore in, get it, but the lower loft might also be what keeps him from doing that. Might need
True.
again that help going back to it. So Bobby says my 2-iron Callaway Apex 18-degree Ventus HB 10X has replaced my 3-wood. Interesting. Hit it 250, 260 to 275. These 2-irons don't play. LOL. His bag is crazy. One for high loft and one for low loft, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's the only thing I got. If you got two clubs with the same loft, one's just gotta be popping up for you, however you play it, and then or it's got to be the one that you're using to go into greens because it's carrying more RPMs or something like that. But otherwise, yeah,
Yeah.
just very wild.
So then it goes into the wedges, right? We've been used to seeing. I mean, these are again. This is okay. So this one's interesting. I liked his bag for different reasons. As we look through other bags, seeing somebody now playing the SM10s again. These have not been widely adopted this year. We've seen.
Right.
I think Scotty's still playing the SM8s or SM9s. You're seeing a lot of SM9s. Again, this is a every 2-year release cycle. Not a
Yeah.
lot of players have put the SM10s in the bag. So here he is rocking the 50, 56, 60 standard lofts, and the bounces are pretty standard as well. Nothing just super crazy. What I did find was interesting was the weighting on his wedge shafts. Typically, we're seeing guys go a little bit heavier in the wedge shafts, 130, 140. He's at 120. What do you think about that selection?
I think he is familiar with the Modus shaft, and he just wants to know, and he just for sure wants to stay with what he knows. I feel like if he's just a field player, then this is what feels the best to him. And he's like, you know what? If we're gonna stay in one class, let's stay in this Modus 120X. And I don't know, it honestly feels to me like he might be trying to get into a little bit of the same length type deal instead of
Mm,
the progressive step. That also might be something that he's trying to do, at least with the wedges. At least with the wedges. With everything else, he
yeah.
might be staying the same, but I mean, he's already a little bit, a little bit more compact in stature. He's probably like 5'6", 5'7", or something like that. So
Yeah, he doesn't look like the tallest kid.
yeah, but refreshing to see something different. And also, I mean, 50 and 50, that's something you did too for the longest. A 50 degree to 56, that trips me out. But, to each their own. Um,
Hey,
Also
South
for
Haven, bro.
him, I think he uses it also just based off what he has. The 56 looks like he just uses that in the sand and he really doesn't use a 60 a lot. If I have a 60 in my hand, I want less bounce than 8 degrees. I need that at 4. But he still got his at 8 degrees. I mean, that's trippy to me. And he's got 12 degrees of bounce in his 56. Like that
Yeah,
is it's different. It's
it's
different.
different. it's di- it's
Shout out to
very
Alex.
unique.
Bro is an
Yeah,
innovator.
he's been
He
thinking
might
through
be
this
onto
bag. This
something.
isn't
Facts.
this isn't something that he just willy
In his
nilly
own
came
way,
up
he
with.
is a
He's
Matt Fitzpatrick brainiac. He just doesn't have the numbers.
And again, the putter selection, and I think this kind of leads into one of the other points that I have later. Um, his putter, Bedinardi SS16 DOS. We don't see a lot of Bedinardis on tour, at
Right.
least not branded in this way. So a little full mallet, not even the half mallet, full bulky out of the back mallet with the alignment line. You know, standard. It had a metal face. Interesting selection. Again, out of the box. You're not your normal stuff that people go with. Not a Scotty. It's not a tailor made. But again, I don't know if you've noticed, and I kind of put it in the show notes, but wasn't able to put together a slide deck for it. But a lot more forgiving putters coming to professional tours. We saw it early in the year with Scotty finally
No.
forsaking the blade putter, going and getting him a TaylorMade Spider. I'm seeing more folks put mallet style putters in the bag. And the guy who ended up missing the putt today in that playoff against Rory and Shane Lowry had the biggest GD putter I have seen. It looked like a hammer, bro.
Was it Ches
So what do
Reavie?
you think about? It wasn't Ches Reavie. It was Martin Trainer. Martin Trainer. I'll look it up. What do
Because
you think about this? While I look this up, tell me what you think about this overall kind of renaissance to mallet style bigger putters.
well, I mean, but every putter I've had is damn near a mallet, if not a mallet. So I am all for it. I love it. Even my ping putter that I had for a few years, it was a wide blade because it still produced the things that I wanted it to produce. It was toe weighted. I could open and close the face and feel free, Tiger the artist or whatever they call it. I don't know. I feel like because I don't have a straight back straight through. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, I felt like it was the best match. That's why I have the Del Mar that I have now. It's the same thing as that. I can open and close the face, yet still keep it square as I like. So, and it's a heavier putter, so it works great for me. And we talked about this in damn near February or something like that. I felt like all the young kids are worried about what's gonna score the best. They're not worried about looks and popularity and stuff like that. Like, um, um, Tagala. Tagala has a 9 wood in his bag. They want what's going to work the best in their bag. So all these mallets on tour, it's refreshing, yes, but also very practical. And I think when you're trying to go for the lowest score possible, you're gonna want something that's gonna hold putts for you. So I'm all for it. I mean, I think that's why
Yeah.
lab golf putters had a big push for a few years. Those big bulky things with Adam Scott, because scientifically they're supposed to hold more puts for you or whatever. So I'm all for it. I like it. I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not
I'm gonna
opposed to
pull.
it at all.
I'm gonna pull this bad boy up. So this is the Martin Trainer putter. I don't know if this is the one he was rocking today. It looks slightly different than the one I saw. So it looks like he's also a tinkerer, but still, this is from a couple of months ago, and when he played at the Texas Children, but still a big bulky block of a putter.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, visually,
Mm-mm.
I don't know, man.
Hell
That thing
no.
is clearly he likes some unique sight lines when putting, but that whole triangular shape and yeah, that's interesting, man. Christian
No.
man, Amazing Grace.
What? Take take this off. Get this off the screen.
Shut up. Maybe it's just. It looks like it's a Bobby Grace putter. Greg Chalmer. This is an interesting putter. Jesus Christ, there's a lot going on here. So it's a Bobby Grace putter, but it's got Greg Chalmers. Do we have? This is interesting, but it's Martin Trainer's bag. I don't know, man. That's a unique. I don't know what's happening there. There's a lot going on. So anyhow, so big putters making the renaissance on tour. Um, I think it's not going to slow down. I think the mallet putter is
Here
what's
to
here to
stay.
stay. Even Scotty Cameron's come around fully. You're seeing more bulky putters from his lineup as well. So you got to go, move with the cheese.
That you do.
Cool. All right, bro. That's the lineup for today. I do want to say our hometown Mavs gave it a run today in the NBA playoffs after going down 31. Weren't able to close the deal, but yeah, man. What do you think about the NBA playoffs so far? It's been interesting. Results that have been atypical. Games
Yeah.
that are just wacky.
Basketball is always good when New York wins. Also, not necessarily very just excited to see Philly win either. So I'm glad New York is winning. I will say I am becoming more of a Tyrese Maxey fan. Just a very unique, just a very fast paced game. Like hard to control that. I mean, hard to stay in front
Yeah.
of that. But yeah, Minnesota really making their mark. Anthony Edwards is definitely a dog. Um, Nobody ever believed. I mean, me personally, I didn't believe in Phoenix. I never believed in. I don't think OKC has enough veteran presence to make a deep run, but they'll be back next season, and I think they'll be good next season. I think they'll be in the West Coast Finals, if not the NBA Finals next year. I don't know if they do it this year. Denver is just really unreal when you got Joker doing what he's doing. Then
Yeah.
all the role play. It's just if you want to see a mediocre team become elite, look at the Denver Nuggets. You have an elite coach that knows how to coach his squad. They adapt to what's going on with the situation. And also, your role players continually step up and make big plays when they need to. That is the
Yeah,
difference between them and LA. LA
the
could be
right type of veteran. Like having a
correct.
KCP on Denver
KCP,
makes a difference.
amazing. Even DeAndre Jordan knows his role perfectly. He comes in, quick
Even though
spurts,
he looks like
energy,
a
and stuff like
dad.
that.
He looks like
Oh,
a
for sure.
straight dad, man. Me and him got the same gut going on right now. Um, okay, let me ask you a
Um,
question. So you don't do your full. I don't want you to go the full rundown. Specific question: what is Jalen Brunson that we know today? The
he
same
doesn't
Jalen
do that.
Brunson
No,
if he
no, he
stays on the
doesn't do
Mavs.
that. No, he doesn't do that if he doesn't. So, as much as I would have liked to have kept him, he doesn't do that if he doesn't get the opportunity to go and spread his wings in New York and make his own run. And then Julius Randle getting hurt also help the procedure. He had to step up. He had no choice. Who else was going to step up? Josh Hart? Bro wasn't going to be dropping no 40 balls. So, yeah, it definitely was to his advantage to go to New York, be with his dad, be with his East Coast people, and also go be his own man. And he said that
Yeah,
shit. I mean, I don't know if he said it, like in that language, but I know he said the same thing, like not cursing wise, but like
I
he
don't.
didn't
I
come out
don't.
and say if I played with Luca again, I'm making these steps. he came out. He pretty much was like, "Yeah, I made my own path, and now I get to do what I want." And honestly, he pretty much sold the 50 ball today. He should have had it, but they got to
Yeah.
win, and they up 3-1. They play on like Tuesday or something like that. So we gonna be right back seeing them if they can close it out in 5. And then Dallas is best of 3. So I think we got it. I think we can win 2 out of 3 games. But you're right. I don't want to rant and I don't want to go off on a tangent. So
We talked. I think we ended up talking like 20 minutes on basketball last week, so we'll take it easy.
we are not basketball podcasters here.
We got a lot of playoffs left to go. So, all right, it felt like a light week, but in the golf world, but still got a lot out of the stories that were existing.
Oh,
the deal. Go ahead.
Cowboys didn't choke the draft this year. It wasn't good, but they did get needs. They didn't just go out and get the vibes. Is all I'll say.
I'll show up on week 1. I don't even care what they did. I'm tired of being heartbroken. I'm tired of being heartbroken. It's okay. The foreplay guys talk about hockey. Y'all good. Thanks, Bobby. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Bobby.
All right, you know the deal. You know the script. We're back at it again next week, doing our damn thing. Bearded Bros Golf Show. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Catch y'all next week.